October meeting, we announced that. I've already announced it a few months ago, and asked for volunteers, anyone who wants to self-nominate or volunteer, as we call it. Bob Ackley has kindly volunteered to step up for the vice president position. VP is the person who does the organizing of all our demos. That's the primary duty. Jim Campbell, standing in the back, has done it for the last 2 years, including that first year in the pandemic. All those online demos we had, which were a lot of work, an incredible selection. And then this year's Woodturners, Jim is lined up also. I think you'll all be fantastic. So thank you, Jim. You're not quite done yet. We've got through the rest of the year, but everything's lined up, and really appreciate it. How about a hand for Jim? Bob Ackley, are you here today?
He is not.
He is not, okay. Anyway, Bob will be stepping in. In fact, he's so gung-ho that he has already laid out a proposal for almost all of next year's demos, and they're fantastic. So he's nominated by the board nominates people to fill any vacancies, and the membership is also eligible. Everyone can say, hey, well, how about so-and-so, or hey, how about me? And if you are interested, currently, we've got people willing and able to do all the positions, but if for some reason you're interested, let me know, because we have lots of opportunities for you, and we'd like to get started for next year. As to the other 4 positions on the board, everyone who's on the board currently has agreed to serve another term. Some of those are third-year terms, which requires kind of, an extension, and some of you may recall last year we amended the bylaws to allow that. But this has been a kind of crazy year. Someone's watch, okay. It's been kind of a crazy few years with the transition out of the pandemic and so on. So I'm really pleased that guys have all agreed to continue on. And that's myself as president. Treasurer Rick Nelson. Rick, I just saw you a second ago. Where are you?
Just left.
Rick? Rick Nelson. Wave your hand around.
He just left.
Oh, he just left. Okay, yeah, he came in to made an appearance. Rick Dietrich, our photographer and secretary, and member at large Larry Batty, who does all of our fabulous social events and about 50 million other things. So we're all staying on or willing to stay on, but feel free to make another nomination. If you do so, just hop on the website, get the president email, and send me a message. But then we'll have the election next month. That's enough of business unless anyone has questions about that. Great. Wood raffle. Have you guys seen the stuff out there? Wow, where's John Cobb? Cobb, you're amazing. I bring like 4 or 5 pieces. It took me hours. I'm sawing away, and John comes in. He's got like 30 pieces. So it's about a 1 to 10 ratio. And I'm not kidding, by the way. I saw some other people, since we put our stuff out there, have also added things, including someone brought a huge antler. Who is that? Who brought the antler? Bob. What creature is that?
Elk.
Elk. I thought so. I thought that was an elk. Yeah, I was just out in Yosemite. In Yellowstone, we saw those guys. They're impressive. So the antler can be used for all kinds of stuff in turning, so that's incredible. So buy the raffle tickets. Where's Peter Travis? Peter?
Right here, he's prepping.
Yeah, see the guy there with the cap on, looking pleased with himself? He's selling tickets like mad. So if you're interested.
Actually, it's cheaper if I take my hat off. Right?
Okay. If he tips his hat to you, you get a discount. So $1 a ticket or 6 tickets for 5, and nobody walks away without wood at the wood raffles. That's kind of the principle. So dive in, grab Peter at any time, or we'll have a break in a little while too. Membership. Anna Duncan, did you want to make a few announcements?
Just a couple. Next month, I'll be starting to remind you to renew membership, but I'll leave that for next month. But we do have 7 or 8 new members. Some are here, so I want to introduce Deborah Cowder, Dean Burris, Norma Stadler.
I saw Norma. Wave your hand around. There you go.
There she is. Dan Walsh. Dean Hutchinson, there's Dean back
Welcome,
there
Dean.
too. David Murley, Steve Waters, and Dave, there he is,
Steve?
and Dave Kolhoff. Okay, and
Hey,
we
how
are
about
getting,
welcome to the members?
and we are getting so close to 160 members, which from my tenure is an all-time high. So, good job, club, for getting people to join.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Rick Kalish to talk about the shop, and I think Rick has an announcement as well.
Announcement, yes. There's an annular eclipse next month on the 14th. It's going from Oregon to southeast. The 14th is meeting day. I'm going to be in Four Corners, so I will not be here. John is going to run the store, and if anybody else wants to help. And then in November, I'm doing a holiday boutique, so I won't be here for that either. Hopefully we'll get John or somebody else to run. Or also, we do have the face shields, and we have replacement masks. Thank you, John, for getting those if you need any more. Hopefully nobody's ever got things thrown in their face, so you never need these, right?
Yeah, right.
So, and we have all the sandpaper and everything else back there too in the store.
Yeah, fantastic. And Cindy's not here today, so we do not have library. That's going to get your books and tapes and stuff next month. Jim Rogers has a couple of announcements.
Well, first thing I need to do is wish everybody a Merry Christmas. That's the reminder. Every year, as most of you know, we do a Christmas boutique sale on the first Saturday of December. And we do it right here in the room. We line this table up all the way down to where Larry's standing with merchandise which we sell, that the funds of which help the classroom. But that merchandise comes from you guys, which means that if you are working on bowls, vessels, candlesticks, letter openers, whatever you might be making, we need some donations. And as I want to tell you early enough that while you're working on things, bring them in at the next meeting and so on. We have a turnathon scheduled for November. And the point of that is to make things for the sale. But that's little stuff, because we got 3 or 4 hours. We got to produce it, finish it, have it ready. If you're working on a nice bowl or a vessel, it's going to take you some time to get it ready to sell. So that means you need to think about that now. And if you're going to donate your seconds to us, we appreciate those. And anything else that you might make. So start bringing them in. If we don't have a good selection, then we don't make a lot of money. And that means some project gets incomplete, or whatever. Other thing, I want to just ask a question. A show of hands, how many people have thread chasing devices? Okay, how many have 16 TPI thread chasers? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. I just asking. We're planning our classes for winter and spring. We're being asked by the district to put together our schedule for the next 6 months, which is kind of unusual. So we're thinking about that, and I've been asked about doing a class on thread chasing. And to do that requires people to donate the use of equipment, because they're not cheap, and everybody needs one at the same time. So I'm thinking about that, if we could get people to maybe donate the use of it for one night or one day or something like that. Just a thought. But anyway, think about Christmas time. It's time to start putting those pieces together and bringing them in. We'll store them, we'll get them priced out, and hopefully we'll have another great sale. Yeah?
Jim, how is that, the funds from that sale utilized?
You could probably ask me that question any week and we get a different answer. Because the school district, when you sign up for classes here, in your registration fee, there's a certain amount of dollars put aside for classroom supplies. And that's the consumable stuff. Like the biggest expense we have now is wood. And wood is almost doubled in cost. So we take that money, we make a comment, get a hold of Macbeth. Last semester, Larry went down, picked up all the wood, came in here, cut the blanks for all the bowls class. And now in bowls, we need, what, 3 blanks?
Yeah, per person.
Per person. So that's a lot of wood. And the cost of poplar is virtually doubled. Now, when it comes down, I need an accessory for one of my lathes or something busted, or somebody says we need to buy a new tool or something, that comes out of the Christmas sale money. So the big stuff, the wood and supplies like sandpaper and glue, we'll get the school to buy that out of your registration fee. And when it comes to maintaining the equipment and buying new tools and stuff like that, that comes out of our coffee can. And that coffee can is really important because several of these lathes in here came out of the coffee can. Also, you need to know that the coffee can for many of the major purchases like that robust scout leaf back there, which is suitable for people with some disabilities. Things like that, we get contributions from some members that help on those prices. We've had contributions from Bay Area Woodturners Association, which we've matched. This lathe here would not be here if BAWA had not contributed the money and 2 or 3 other members kicked in. That's an expensive machine. So, and BAWA's helped us buy some of our electronics, and some of the money came out of the coffee can. So when we put the new switcher in this Dave's using over here, BAWA threw some money in and the coffee can came up with the rest of it. So it's that stuff.
What do you mean, the difference between BAWA and this club here?
Well, that's a point, but we all see us all as just one family. But there is Bay Area Woodturners, which is us. And we come in here, we rent this room from the school district.
Oh, I'm ready.
See? A lot of support. The school district runs classes. And many of us who are members or officers in the club here are also instructional staff. So there's a close blend between the two. John, for instance, who's going to be running the store for us in a month or two, is here every Friday morning working on repairs. Something is busted in here. Here's John in here fixing it. Making sure that all the rooms go back in the right place has been a real major job. And so he came in, made a board, painted it all up, and he just does a lot of work for us. That's helping the school district's learning program. Running the store is helping BAWA's store project. And so there's such a cross blend between them. They're different, but we're just all together. Is that a good answer?
Yep.
That's kind of a
They're separate organizations, but we share space, we share personnel, we share the love of wood turning.
That's what I should have said.
I had the time to think about it, you know.
But thank you, and think about Christmas ahead of time. It is time for us to start pulling things together. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. All right, I don't have any other announcements. We can go to show and tell. So let me grab that list. And are we filming this section, Dave? Are we on?
That camera right there.
Okay, where would you like us to sit, stand for that?
You know, like right there is great.
Right here is great?
Yeah.
Okay, I should ask the videographer. All right, we have Tom Tovray. I always mispronounce your last name, Tom. Where are you?
You said it just right.
Tom Tovray?
Togri.
Tovray. Oh, I'm almost
Close enough.
No, not close enough. Tom, followed by Anna Duncan. And keep your voice up or else I'll shove a mic in your face.
Teacher voice.
Teach your voice, please.
All right. I went to the Learn and Turn the last time they had it, and we were talking about the crafts fair. And so I had a piece of maple at home, so I just started playing, and I came up with these snowmen. And I thought that was something we could make, you know, to sell at the crafts fair. So that's why I did it. And
Yeah, hold them up so people can
There
see.
you go.
teacher forgot how to do it. There you go.
We
Anyway.
have those dates coming up. We
These-
have those dates to work on things like that here.
That's why I brought it today, because she talked about we're going to have a day where we can turn things.
You know, turn it on.
And you can turn depends on what your skill thing is, but the things I like to do the best is this kind of thing. So so I can do it fairly quickly, but I think you can do them at least within an hour, you know, without any problem. Pretty close. So we could make a lot of these if you think that they would sell.
So Kyle will be here in November to show us how to do that?
Up there? No. No. Not yet. Don't, okay.
Yes, you're done.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Hey, Tom, pick up a raffle ticket from Peter.
If I get around.
And Anna followed by Jamie Gracer.
So my daughter asked me to make her a cake plate.
Wow.
And I sat on this idea for a while until Bob kindly got me a nice piece for the base. And then I went to that urban lumber place in Martinez to find something to match on top. It wasn't hard to turn, but I couldn't imagine her putting a buttery cake on my nice finished wood. So the good folks at Valley Glass made this round to go in here, which cost more than the whole project. But it protects it from the butter in the cake. So her birthday is Monday. She's getting this tonight for a gift.
All right. Jamie followed by Harvey Klein.
So I took Malcolm Tibbetts' Segmented Turning and looked over his book during a break, and he has really an exquisite teapot that's a black and white theme, similar to this, better than this. But I used that as a idea for the design, has a floating foot, and it was actually fun to do.
Well, what are the two woods?
Wenge and maple. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, Harvey followed by Joe Dahl.
Most people know I turn small stuff, well, majority of the time. This is black oak, colored with Staffordshire black to ebonize it. The finial's out of Bacote. And this is the first one I've ever colored and carved on, so it was kind of different, you know. It was fun. Call it chaos, because that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Beautiful chaos.
Yeah. And this one I turned yesterday is out of carob. I got it, it was a cup, what do you call it? Cord?
A cord. Oh.
It was cored by somebody. He don't use smaller stuff, you know. It's like Brad, he sells all the little stuff and keeps the big ones. So I did this one out of that.
Very nice. Beautiful. Joe followed by Rick Dietrich.
So a while back, I saw some videos online about working with pewter in wood turning, and I thought I would give it a try. And it's kind of interesting material to work with. It turns really easily. It's just more scrape it than anything else. It turns with our regular turning tools. But because it doesn't adhere to the wood like epoxies will or some of the other fills we use, if you get any catch at all, it pulls it out. So you just have to be really careful when you work it. There's a local vendor for the pewter down in San Leandro. Unfortunately, they don't stock it in San Leandro, so you can't do will call. You still have to pay shipping. So I tried a rim the first time around, like say, pulled everything out. Started over again. You can remelt the pewter, use it again. And I did something a little simpler this time. And this one worked out really, really well. It was fun to turn. You would think that the pewter would burn the wood. Doesn't really. It singes it a little bit. And where I had some overflow on the pewter, there was a dark mark, but it went down maybe a 32nd of an inch, if that. So it turned away really easily. I also, with this one, because I had that first one pop out on me, at the bottom of this ring, I keyed it in a little bit with a parting tool, so it wouldn't, risk pulling out so fast. And then I thought I'd try a band on the side of a bowl. And this was a little bit more challenging. The first time I put the pewter in this one, it came out on me when I turned it, and that was exciting to have this pewter go flying over my shoulder. But again, it was because it had gotten a little bit overfilled. And the way you put these bands on, I rounded the side a little bit when I was done, but I left it square. I started with this almost vertical. You can go to Williams-Sonoma, a number of places, and get silicone baking sheets. You can cut those into strips, and they're meant for high heat. So after I cut the channel in here, I put the silicone ring around it and just held it with a hose clamp and just used that as a dam to pour. So anyway, it's kind of fun. I encourage you to try it. You can get I bought a cheapy little melting pot through Amazon for 40 or so bucks that's hot enough to get it going. And the pewter right now is about 20 bucks a pound. This is with waste about a pound's worth for these two, so it's not that expensive.
Rick Dietrich, followed by Bill Nelson.
Okay, yesterday I was here talking with Anna. Anna was working on a natural edge bowl, and we were talking about the bark. How do we keep the bark on? I mentioned that I had done some natural edge things with using CA to hold the bark on, including one that was made out of a piece of very wormy cherry. The worms had eaten almost everything underneath the bark, and CA held it very well. And she asked me to bring the piece in. I wasn't going to show it for show and tell, but I looked at it, and it turns out I made this 10 years ago. This is from a log. Our neighborhood in Maryland had a lot of the people had ornamental cherries, and the ornamental cherries would live for 20, 30 years, and then they poop out. And so there was a log from one that had pooped out. Now I don't know why it had pooped out. All these worms were eating it. But I split it and aged it for a while, and then we had a president's challenge to make a bowl on a flat platter and do it natural edge if we could. We had a president that was really into challenges. So I made a prototype, a small one, which wasn't all that great. And then I decided I was really going to do it right. And so I made this. It's cherry. It's really nice. It feels really nice. And I haven't used it for anything, but I'm not sure whether I like or dislike the ratty edge here. But this is the natural edge. This is what was left after the worms got to it. There's some places where they didn't eat through the bark, but this is all held on by CA. So don't be afraid to use CA on your bark to hold it on.
10 years later, it's still there.
10 years later, it's still here. It hasn't chipped off yet. So.
Wow.
Bill Nelson, followed by Ed Steffinger.
Yeah, you have to blame Larry. He said I could do this. My show and tell, it's just one of these. I had a Bosch React saw, and it had some problems. I sent it back to Bosch. They sent me a new saw that doesn't have that feature. I ended up with 2 of these cartridges. So if anyone has one of these saws, each one of these is about 190 bucks. Wow. 114. And I'm willing to get rid of both of them for 100 bucks. So that'd be a great buy. Because every time that thing drops, it costs you 50 bucks.
Great. That's the bill if you got that
But
saw.
it's a great saw. It's just I broke a part on it when they fixed it. They fixed it wrong. Then they fixed it wrong again. They were great to work with, but they said, hey, I tell you what, we'll buy it back, give you another saw and a tool. And when I ended up with these 2 things.
Sounds like the house you built me.
Except I made you keep it.
Thank you, Bill. Ed, followed by Vern.
My sister asked me to make her a bell. I had a liquid amber log sitting around for years, so I thought, well, I'm going to see what will happen with this. So it's the spalting that took place that really makes this a nice item. So just want to share it with you.
And it looks like icing coming down the side of the cake. I love it.
How does it sound?
How does it sound? All right, Vern, followed by Larry.
I don't
don't know about you, but I'm always looking for a project I don't have to sand. So this is a palm tree. It was just, you know, and I decided I was going to try it. I thought the texture would look nice. When I rough turned it, the end grain was a really nice texture. It was really rough and pointy and everything, but it turned oval. So I had to turn it again after it dried, and it's really rough. But I said, well, I tried one I sanded and I didn't like it. So this is the texture, a lot of tear out and everything. And this is the other part I just put a dark finish on. But, you know, it's something to try. It's really weird to work with because when you first turn it, screws won't hold in it. So I had to screw a faceplate on and then put the tailstock up, and then I could turn the tenon. And then once you have a tenon, then it's fine to work with. But Rick was telling me that there are some palm trees, a red and a black, that will turn like regular wood, and you can finish them like regular wood. But this is just some junk palm. So,
Yeah,
but it's something different to try.
Yeah. Larry and then Dave Nelson.
I thought I'd try something different, did some piercing. A couple of these have bottoms where there's a hole there. It was kind of a new thing to make a hole on purpose instead of the way I normally make them. It was actually kind of liberating. They're not much for bowls. They make a heck of a mess on the counter after I had my breakfast this morning. Cheerios, but anyway. I saw this at the AAW conference, and I thought it was kind of a neat idea. So this one needs a little work on the coloring, but maybe John Cobb can help me with that sometime. So,
Hey, Larry, why don't you hold up the one with you also did some pyrography and stuff on there, right?
yeah, this one I think, I don't do drugs, but man, if I did, I just kind of let my head go. And this thing has been sitting in my shop. I worked on it a little bit and put it in a box, and they look like they're fragile, but they're pretty hardy. So they got knocked around a lot.
What's the wood?
This one's pear. I'm not sure what these other ones are, but
Incredible.
anyway, thank you.
Yeah, Larry. Okay, Dave Nelson, and followed by Bob Nolan.
Found a cork oak tree, came down in a park in Fremont, the natural California Nursery Historic Park, that's what they call it. So I took quite a few logs, and I was afraid to do any natural edge at first, but then I went about it, and I wish I did more of them. It's a little flexible. There's quite a bit of super glue down in the bottom, CA, but the top doesn't have that. I filled it with shellac, so saturated with shellac, and then polyo. Wipe-on poly. Wipe-on poly, yeah, thank you. So, came out pretty nice. I did more of it.
Fantastic. Bob, and then you're up, John.
Once again, it's getting to be Christmas time, so you can start making ornaments. I want to replug the Christmas sale to make stuff to bring in, but I also want to plug Anna's and Roberta's class. They're going to make gnome ones. Correct me if I say something wrong.
And acorn.
These are gnome ones, and these are acorn ones. I don't know if they're going to put birds on the acorn ones, but they're going to make acorns and gnome ones. So if you haven't signed up for the class, they're good Christmas gifts to relatives, whatever, and they're a good way to use up the scraps in your shop. You know, this one here, if you look into the hole, there's an egg inside the hole. So Christmas is coming. Start making gifts now.
All right, so we have a question on when is Anna and Kim's class?
It starts
so I was gonna make a plug. You got the yellow little brochures up here with all the classes on them. And to answer that specific question, holiday ornaments. No, is that it? Yes.
Yes,
I thought it was with Kim, so it's with
with Roberta.
Roberta, right. And that is 10/19 to 11/9. October 19th to November 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. on Thursdays. Got that right?
That's correct.
That's right. Yeah, so pick up the brochures we got on the table. It shows all the other classes too. And also for those of you who are newer, you've been hearing these references to, and we'll be making ornaments. We started a tradition a couple of years ago of the November turn-a-thons. Instead of our normal demo at our meeting in November, we all come here and we just turn stuff like crazy. And there are people who will show you ideas like stuff you've been seeing. And that goes to raise money at the raffle for the stuff Jim was talking about. So November turn-a-thon is really
The wood is provided.
fun event. Wood is provided, or bring your own, or bring a project you've already started that you think is you want to sell, donate to the sale for the raffle. Keep going with the raffle. The sale for the shop, for the studio, the Christmas sale. Yeah, thank you. John, you're last up. Where are you? All right, John Langan.
A while back, I PA'd a class on segment turning, and I couldn't put it down after that. I went through Jim's book and everything, and so I started practicing I started this one here. I learned a lot from this, but it turned out fairly well, I think. And then I did this one here, this particular one here. A while back, one of the members from here somewhere brought in a box of wood flooring, all little pieces, 1 inch wide by 6 inches long. They're all glued together on a mat. So I took some home and I took a pen and I just laid it in a pan with a little bit of water on it. All of a sudden, they all came apart there. Just exactly what I'm going to do. And I made a jig on my wedgie sled to accommodate these little pieces, and I was able to cut them all out. They all came out perfectly even. So then I incorporated and making a bowl out of them here, like this here. And then I also started playing around with putting pieces in between here. You see so I got turned out very well, and I was glad that I took this up. Thank you.
Any other show and tellers who didn't sign up? All right, so that's it for show and tell. Don't know if we need a break. Post like a 5-minute break before we start. Okay, I see a couple of heads nodding. Yeah, it's the age group. See you in, let's make it 5 minutes and we'll get on and go hear